Three. Welcome to the Friendly Geordies podcast. We have a very special guest today.
No, I was.
Neel Kolhatkar.
I was pointing, but I'll do the shake.
Oh, okay. Well,
Neil, how are we doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, boys.
No worries at all. How's your shows
for
been?
coming.
Comedy Untamed.
Comedy
One of my
Untamed
favorite.
has been good. So we've expanded to a bunch of cities, and I've pretty much delegated those now, and I'm happy for them to take on a life of their own.
Yeah, because aren't they happening simultaneously in different cities?
Yeah, so they some nights we would have 4 on at the same night.
That's
and then
sick.
they'd do the
What?
same line games, and then we'd cut them all together and have the one clip from each of the different cities. It was really cool. So
Yeah.
it's been fun, but I'm gonna be focusing on my solo career a lot. And Max, you remember Max? He's gonna be taking care of the Sydney show. Casey Gothard, shout out. She's gonna be doing Melbourne. Ash Chapman in Brisbane, and yeah, we're gonna keep running them as nice little comedy shows. If you want to come to a good comedy show, come to Comedy Untamed. But I got a tour coming up where I'm doing my gold, my good material. So I'm doing all the major cities in Australia and London.
Now, Neil, what's the point of your show?
The point of my show,
Yeah.
well,
So you're doing
with it being
dirty flirties.
yeah, comedy show. It's hopefully the point is to make people
Yeah, I
laugh.
was, what do you
Yep.
mean?
That's the
Yep,
that's
good,
the main
good.
point.
What kind of
Good, all
question?
right.
What kind
And,
of question is
Well,
that?
I don't know. It
the-
just sounded like it was something about like the introspective rap song on an album. It
Look,
seems
it's
like that.
Neil does do heady stuff.
No, that's true.
He
that's
always
true.
has like some kind of point that
That's
he's
true.
getting at often.
That's true. I just feel like
But it's in a
Jordan's so
funny way, not in a
politics,
woke
you're like-
comedy way.
Yeah, dude, you're not woke at all.
Funny is the primary objective, and yeah, it's called Dirty Flirty 30. Honestly, yeah, there's a couple of jokes about me turning 30 and the perspective I have. Really, it was just a marketing thing.
Hell yeah.
I thought that would be a cute name. I thought
that
people
name.
would see Dirty Flirty 30 and be like, oh, that's funny, that's cute, I'll buy
It is
tickets.
kind of funny, yeah.
And yeah, the
sticks in your
promo's
mind.
me with a few little balloons that say 30, and
Hey.
I got the wine glass, and I'm looking dishevelled as a 30-year-old would. So,
Wait, so do you want to share some of your 30-year-old?
dude, like I said, it's mainly a marketing thing. The jokes are all like hot fire club comedy. I've got some jokes about. I got my favorite joke right now is I've got a joke about Hitler being gay. I've got a joke about how I like rough comedy, and I actually am like a comedy sub, and I want people to call me a curry muncher. And, I've got some jokes about the cost of living. I do have a couple of jokes about being 30. Some jokes about the misso and how she's a psychologist. So there's a bit of everything in there, and there's some classic, good accents in there. Some
Nice.
some Wog impressions, obviously.
When are you doing Sydney?
I'm doing Sydney November 28th, and
Boom.
that will all be filmed. And there's also the Comedy Untamed Gala or showcase before that. So the best 4 up-and-coming acts in the first half. Then I'm doing my my show in the second. And then Sydney's already selling well, so that one might sell out. London's selling well. That's on September 8th. And all the others are selling well. Newcastle might sell out as well. So
Melbourne as well.
yeah, Melbourne's selling pretty well. So
Melbourne, get on it.
yeah, come along, guys.
Yeah, how long did it take for you to write these jokes? Have you been working on these
It's
for
usually
ages?
just 1 year turnover. So I did the last show this time, spring last year, and then I started writing new ones in December, and it's I'd say it's 90% there, and I've got a month and a half to find that final 10%, refine them, and it's good to go.
Nice, dude.
Sick. Sick,
I've-
man.
I
Now
have
that I'm thinking about it, you know what would have been a much better marketing gimmick for a title? Neil does Wog impressions for an hour.
I think that's what most people expect
I want to
anyway.
see that.
This is
Indian comedian does every impression except Indian for an
Indians,
hour.
yeah.
Dude, this is
That would be a
coming.
meme roasting me. That's fair.
This is coming from the man that nearly called his show Dave Hughes Live as seen on TV.
Hey, look, you'd be,
I wanted to.
you'd
That's
be
if
at
that
the
would
top
have
of the
worked.
Google results. You would be at the top, man.
Do you know how much that would screw both you and Dave Hughes?
Dude,
And
it's
then
the
there'd be
final joke of the act.
Use the
That's the
impending,
closer.
and then there'd be a legal battle, and you could
Literally the closer.
use the impending legal battle to drum up more marketing for the show.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
oh, Dave Hughes is trying to
Yeah.
sue me.
I'm
This
being
is
silenced.
This is a rort.
Poor Dave Hughes has suffered enough at your hand, aka Ali talking to him after the show and being like, please don't do a hit on me. He'd bloody lose another 3 years of his life
Bro,
if he saw that was the fucking title.
What if it was actually Dave Hughes that firebombed you? He was there like, you're not making fun of me.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Take
who
this,
was,
Jordan. I'm the top dog.
John, wasn't it Dave Hughes who said that? I remember when your house got firebomb. Me and my children, we just set up a chair on the roof and we saw.
No, that was Paul McDermott.
Oh, Paul McDermott.
Wait, what? What did he say?
What did he say?
Paul McDermott. First off, I didn't realize that it was Paul McDermott. He's such an unassuming, quiet man. He's a dynamo on stage, but in real life, he's extremely quiet.
We met him at the airport.
We met him at
he
the
looks like
airport.
Karl Marx.
Yeah,
He does
handsome
now.
Karl Marx.
Yeah.
He's a.
But what did he say
still
about
60,
your?
still
What did he
hot.
say about your house?
Yeah, and then he goes, excuse me, are you friendly Geordies? There was a man sitting at the Rhino room, just by himself, sitting there, and I was like, oh, great, some freak that came in before the show. And I was trying to, like, avoid eye contact with him, right? And then he just goes, are you friendly Geordies? I'm like, here we go. Yeah. What the fuck? Paul McDermott? It was so weird. Like, it was like, Good News Week, 15 years, Paul McDermott was there. And then he just goes, big fan. When your house was firebombed, I said, kids, look at this. And we all just sat out on the patio and had some beers together. And I was like, holy shit. That's mad that he said that, but that's so fucking psychotic. It's amazing though. Like, I honestly, to this day, I think that is the most underrated talent in Australia, and I still feel like him being a household name isn't enough
Hey,
for him. I think he's
Rove McManus.
Yeah,
Paul
very
McDermott, I didn't realize.
Don't you think he was the real Rove?
Kind of,
He should have
yeah.
been Rove.
He was the thinking man's Rove.
Thinking man's Rove.
And then he just
And also
handed-
knew how to dance.
And then he handed you a Good News Week DVD and shuffled away. And you were like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I was just like, fuck.
He has
Really
an
wish I had a
album. and
DVD player.
He's a multi-talented artistic persona.
Yeah, dude.
you rate
He's
him?
like
I
Hugh
rate
Jackman of
Paul.
comedy.
He's a
Yeah.
jack of all trade and master.
I rate Paul, but that whole club of comedians that still clog up the ABC, something's got to give.
know.
There's got to be a civil war in comedy because, oh man, I'm so sick of the fucking Weekly and all these shows on ABC.
I don't
they're all
watch it.
going.
Good. They're not going because the boomers refuse to die. And that
Yes.
is the biggest problem
Yes.
with society.
But they've laid off half of their staff. All of these news channels.
That's not enough.
Yeah, he's right, damn it.
They need-
I know.
It's a start.
But I'm just
too little,
saying-
too late.
They're already on like shaky ice. All of them.
Are you talking about like boomers? Boomers?
No, just like you're talking about the shows, like
What
commercial
shows?
television shows.
See, this is the whole
just
thing.
the comedy. Yeah, we don't. I
don't know
people
what-
So out of the
under
matrix, he doesn't
age
know.
of 35
I
or
don't know.
40 have no idea what they are.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
But just there's like these institutions. Rage. The comedy, the comedy version of Rage. There are just these institutions of Australian comedy that just continue to cling on to the old power they once had, and refuse to let any internet comedians in, no
Really?
matter what. No matter what we do, and you
Shit.
wouldn't want to go in there now anyway. But just
Right.
the just how pompous and pretentious they are,
Damn.
it just gets to me, man.
I don't know,
I don't
man.
know if you
I
feel
used to
that
always
way.
I used to think no one's watching this show anymore. And then Ali and I went to see Tom Gleason, and I was just like, this fucker's doing 2 theatre shows a night.
Really?
Yeah,
It's because of his
Gleason's
show,
doing well.
Hard Quiz. It does really well. It's
and
one of the
and
success stories.
Taskmaster. He's on the television.
He's
quite
but-
a lot.
But that's what I
unlike
just thought
everyone
that
else,
it just
people
didn't
watch
matter if
his
you're on the
shows.
television. I thought it didn't matter anymore, but apparently,
Oh, no,
I just
it
forget
does.
what Neel Kolhatkar says, that people do exist over the age of 40.
Yeah.
And quiz shows always work.
Yeah, apparently they're doing a lot of game shows now because they're low budget and easy to film. So they're
Right.
doing a lot of. They're banking on news, sport, game shows. There's no scripted. There's nothing scripted, and everything that's scripted is garbage. And panel shows. So
That's
it
what
might
I'd
be
do.
A quiet renaissance before
Why-
the death
why
of,
is
of
all-
panel
Quiet
shows.
renaissance.
But
Jesus.
really, they're just. It's more like the middlemen who are choosing the talent to be on these shows. It's all very corrupt. It's like if you're with this manager, you get on these shows, and so everyone, all the comedians who are underage, and I say this not from a like I'm very happy with how I'm going, but have you noticed the average Australian when you ask them, hey, what do you think of Australian comedy? They're like, oh fuck, they hate it.
Right.
They've butchered the brand of Australian comedy, and that's what gets to me.
That's definitely true.
I'm not in the in.
I think
enough.
Australian comedy. It's something actually. Your friend was also saying. Who's my favorite comedian?
Alex?
Yeah, Alex. Sorry, Alex was saying that Australian comedy makes you cynical eventually, and you see all comedians just eventually become cynical. You know what I'm talking about?
But I think they're just naturally cynical people.
No, but they weren't at one point. There's optimism, and then you become sad.
Well, it's not
if
wrong.
you make it, you're sad that what you always wanted it didn't give you what you wanted on the inside. That's my psychological analysis. And then people who didn't make it, well, they're cynical for obvious reasons. So it's just a cesspool of cynicism. And
Is the reason that they're so good that no one could realize it? Is that why?
Yeah, they're all Van Goghs.
yeah, you talk to any comedian doing the cruise ships, and that's
Oh,
they just don't know real
cruise
talent.
ships. Anyone performing on a cruise ship, you're done.
You say that, but apparently it pays really well.
It does, but it's the same way of being like a covers band pays well too.
Yeah,
It's a very good comparison.
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Don't
wanted
point
to-
and
That
laugh
is
at
the-
me.
Miss Lev knows exactly
Don't
what that's like.
you point and laugh at me.
I wouldn't mind doing one just to know that I couldn't make that audience laugh. Like I'm trying to just go to audiences that wouldn't normally laugh at me and try to develop a set where I can entertain them. So I know cruise ship. The cruise ship
Neel Kolhatkar's
demographic
P&O
are
special.
like, that's not even boomers. It's the parents of the boomers who are still kicking, basically. And they
Oh,
want
because
like
in my head I was
someone in
thinking,
a
yeah,
suit
maybe
being
you
like,
could
"Hey,
get laid
my
on that
wife."
cruise ship.
Is it? And I thought it'd be a lot of bogans that'd be like, you know, we normally go to Bali every year, but we got married this year. This is
Yeah.
our honeymoon.
It's a Venn diagram of those two. The bogans who didn't go to Bali and the parents of the boomers who are still alive.
Oh my
Yeah.
That's what you get on a cruise ship. And it is probably the hardest audience to make laugh. But you know what? I like that challenge.
Why do old people love cruise ships?
I don't know. It's all there.
What is with that?
It's all.
I don't know, but the guy that looks exactly like Mislov that's always talking about running Bill Clinton's campaign on CNN.
He loves them.
Oh, that guy whose image I used as the last thumbnail to. What's his name?
That was good.
It was
I don't know his- I
amazing.
don't know
It was
his name.
exactly the same. James Carville.
James Carville.
Yeah, that guy. That was just incredible. Like you have this old, decrepit, just shriveled testicle version of Mislov sitting there being like, everybody's saying that all the elites should get Joe Biden. Only the elites are saying Joe Biden should come out. Motherfucker, do I look elite? And then he is on a cruise that is going around the Arctic. Streaming into CNN. It's incredible. So, like, I don't know. Maybe it is a thing that, like, when you're older, it's still like a esteemed idea to go. Because I can't think of anything more low class
Yeah.
than going on a cruise ship.
I don't get it.
It gets too much of a bad rap. Why is that any worse than like going to mining towns and doing comedy?
Just the pay, dude. You get good money on a cruise, apparently.
No, I'm saying like keeping the money aside. Like there's a stigma associated to being a boat comic,
Yeah.
whereas like there's a lot of other bullshit.
Oh, there's a stigma being
There's
a
stigma.
minor comic.
Yeah. Or an RSL comic.
RSL.
but
yeah.
less so than like a boat comic.
Dude, now that I think about it, there's just
Slightly
a
less
stigma
so,
to
but-
all of them.
There's a stigma to everything. Yeah, there's a stigma to internet comedy,
Yeah.
TV comedian,
That's true.
club comedian. There's a stigma. We're just a cynical bunch.
So
I
wait,
guess.
who was the only way not to be is Madison Square Garden?
Yeah.
Oh,
do
there's a
that,
stigma
you're
to
fine.
that.
Is there?
Get out of here.
What's the
Yeah,
stigma to
you'd be-
that?
you'd be a sellout.
Hollywood.
Is that the
You're a
stigma?
sellout.
You're a sellout.
I
Yeah.
gotta- Out of all of them, least stigma, club comic. Club comic is kind of just
Yes.
like seedy sex pest, but
Right.
they're good.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works, right?
Seedy sex pest, alcoholic, borderline pedophile. No, not even borderline.
Straight out.
Horrible.
I didn't know
Everything
she
in
was
their
17.
personal life is going to shit, but they are crushed at every club.
Right.
And that's what I think comedians look up to that because they see themselves in that person.
Hey Neil, were you a Cumtown fan?
I never got into it, man. Like I listened to a few episodes and just
True.
wasn't for me.
Okay.
But I respect what they've done.
I would like.
Why
to,
wasn't it for you?
I don't know. I just never laughed.
What do you reckon that's about?
Wait, is
That-
it-
I
I
guess,
so would
I
have
don't
picked
know.
you for just being a fan of it.
takes. Yeah. Have their stand up?
Never-
Each of their stand ups pretty good though. I find. I know that's what I think of like seedy club comedian. Those guys just do club shows. Apart from what's his name?
Stav is now Hollywood.
He's now Hollywood.
Yeah, Stavros is definitely Hollywood.
Yeah,
He's still a funny guy, dude.
they're all funny.
Yeah.
They're all funny.
What
He's good. I like him. Yeah.
is there any American podcast that you do like then?
A comedy podcast.
Yeah.
I like Theo Von.
The
He's
rat.
the
The
rat. I think that's such a skill to act semi-retarded.
Do you reckon he's acting?
Is it an act?
also be really clever and say the right thing that comes across as inappropriate, but actually is probably by design. I think he's way smarter than
Gals
people.
love him. Like, everyone likes him, and he's obviously
He's
one of
so
the biggest
likable,
comics.
dude. He's
but
so funny.
But why is he allowed to say a lot of the shit that no one else can?
Honestly, if you have just a funny accent, I think you can get away with anything.
Yeah.
Don't you think if you had like a Leb accent, you could say anything?
That's very
super
true.
problematic. You could just be like, "Cuz what the fuck is with the LGBT? I'm sick of
Yeah.
these cunts."
True.
Bro,
But I think
everyone is gay, and then everyone thinks that's funny. Whereas if you say it in a posh accent, I just think the LGBT's gone too far.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
True, but I think like what also helps him is that like most of his audience thinks that he's actually retarded.
Who?
probably.
Theo One.
Oh, yeah.
And so like
yeah.
how could you get mad at someone
Right.
that's like
Yeah.
low IQ?
Gotcha.
The funniest thing is that clip that went viral where he's got a kid with Down syndrome next to him. He's like, "Down syndrome. I don't have it, but I'm willing to get it." And then what?
That's crazy. Yeah.
How do you even come up with?
If you're from the South, you get a free pass.
Yeah, you
They get a
So
free
funny.
pass.
You do.
Yeah.
I suppose because everyone assumes that you are naturally going to be extremely un-PC.
I suppose so.
And so it's a given.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're a thinking man southerner, everyone's just like, you're secretly racist.
Yeah, probably.
So you may as well just say it, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, the British, I don't know which accent it is, but that London blood, that accent like this in it, mum, that one,
The Afro-Caribbean.
yeah, whatever it is, they.
No, it's not Afro-Caribbean. It's
It
from
is.
it's no, not really.
It's like Jamaican immigrants that moved to England in the 60s.
Oh, okay.
But I
okay.
think
Yeah,
that
miss.
accent has become like the Western Sydney accent, where just
Well, you cried once.
even white people who grew up in those areas of
Bro, can
London
you-
have that. And there was a podcast where one of these guys were like, "Yo, I don't understand that LGBT. Like, L, that's you're gay. So and then G, that's gay. Bi, if you told me you bi, you like girls, but you also like guys." That's gay, blood. That's gay. T is like you used to be a woman, now you a man, but you still like men. That's you gay. and queer, bro. What's queer? That's gay. It's all gay. and it went viral. It was one of the funniest things I've ever
Holy
heard.
shit! Just call it gay, man. That's mad.
Speaking of accent, maybe you can explain this to me. Can you explain to me why Spanian has a Wog accent?
I think that's just a generalized Sydney /
He's a wog.
just Western
not.
Sydney
He's like-
/ working class Sydney accent now, because
Even in Waterloo?
people I grew up with,
Growing up around like
Used to be
Aboriginal
rough.
yes, because
Waterloo.
if you grow up in a housing commission, that's just the accent. Like, yeah, lad, what you fucker? Yeah, what are you doing later? Cause like, it's not as the Lebanese one would have more of the like Arab twang to it. But if you like, like, it's an Aussie rap accent almost. It's like, yeah, bro, just fucking like,
It's just lads.
fucking
We had him in
grew
our
up
school.
here, bro. Like, and then
Yeah, but lads speak differently. It's Spanian doesn't speak like a lad. If you go to
Are you
Campbelltown,
sure?
yeah, it is. It's
Are you sure?
It's lad, but with excessive testosterone. That's Spaniard's accent. It's like instead
Okay.
of like, yeah, bro, how's it going, bro? It's like, yeah, bro, how's it going?
like
How's it going, lad? Holy shit, it's
Listen
literally
here.
the lad accent on
Listen here, bruv.
steroids.
It is.
Next time someone firebombs your house, just fucking go outside, do this, bro.
Chuck a brick, lad.
Chuck a
like this
brick, lad.
oos, lad.
Oos, just hurus. 1, 2, bang.
You know what cracks me up the most?
Yeah,
Me-
it's
me-
a lad that's been to prison. That's the accent.
Me and Jordan's favorite. Oh, I think it's his as well. The favorite. This just sums up Spaniards so well to me. He's doing this donut. He's eating donuts all day. You know, he's doing donut reviews, and then he gets to this point where he's just like, "Man, no, fuck, I'm so sick of this shit food, man. This junk food. Let's go eat something real, lad. Let's get some frangos."
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, real food to him is burgers.
It's like, bro, it is it's a donut basically. You're replicating a donut for a donut.
It's got chicken in it.
Yeah, a donut with chicken.
he's
in it.
doing very well, my friend. According to him, too, he's like, "Oh, brother," he's like, I didn't know I was gonna be famous, but I became famous. But my friend was saying, bruh, you are the most famous person in the world right now.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh no, lad.
Yeah, I know, lads. I don't even know how that.
He's got a nice apartment in the city that overlooks Hyde Park.
No fucking way.
Yeah,
Well, he's
dude.
not lad anymore.
Started from the bottom.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I'm
you're fucking
I'm
different
sure he's
now, man.
renting and like as lads do pay. You know, he's. I don't
If
think
it's
he's got
at
savings.
Hyde
He
Park
bought it.
Plaza,
Hey,
I'm
okay,
going to
okay,
freak
Neil,
out.
answer me this. Why the fuck are lads trendy now? When did that happen?
I like it. I think it started with the drill rap. I think
What?
everyone hated Aussie rap when I was younger. Everyone hated Aussie rap in a certain part. If you're, in the top 4 quintiles of the socioeconomic ladder, you hated Aussie rap. It was just the bottom. of
Aussie
fifth.
rap sucked at
But-
one point. You
Yeah,
have
but
to
then
admit it.
I think the drill rappers made it cool. So
Like, what are they called?
Like,
Who are the drill rappers?
1-4, 21
1-4?
District. Because then I started seeing all these
Cursor
people.
made it good.
Cursor early on, people still hated him. At the start, everyone liked 360 more than Cursor, and then I think
Yeah,
it
those
switched.
were like Melbourne wankers. Like Cursor was legit.
Industry
I love
plant.
Cursor now. I used to hate Aussie rap and Cursor. Now I love them all, man, and I regret that I hated them. But I don't know. I think it just gradually became. I think it was just so unapologetic. I think when a culture is unapologetic and they don't try to bend to what everyone says about you're trash and you're just gutter rap, and they say, nah, lad, we're gonna fucking stick to this and keep rapping like that. Eventually, it just becomes cool.
Do you remember
I
there was
suppose they are the most alpha culture ever in the sense that they don't even feel the need to defend themselves. I've never seen a lad get defensive ever. They sort of know that they're scum, and that is like the ultimate defense.
Yeah.
They know thyself.
They know that.
Yes.
It's just weird because I don't understand where it came from. That's the strange thing.
Oh,
It just
dude.
was always
Yeah.
this sort of under.
I'll tell you where it
current.
came from. England, a long time ago. That's where it came from.
Well, the scum.
Well, like on the First Fleet.
Yeah.
It was just people there being like, "Brah, please, the change is so
Pretty
tight, lad."
much. Pretty much. Pretty much. Pretty
Well,
much.
let me on the ship, bro.
Wait, where's the Frangos?
I'm so sick of
Oi,
this
I got
bully beef,
scurvy,
lad.
bro. Oh, I got scurvy,
I want some
bro.
real food,
Fucking
lad.
hell.
Oh, actually, this bully beef is pretty sick, eh? It's pretty salty.
Oi,
It's got the
chuck us
mad
some opium,
protein in
cunt.
it.
Oh, dude, bully beef's like 100% protein, bro. It's pretty good.
Oi, these fucking English dogs, man. I'm fucking Irish all day, cunt.
It's just a weird because there's lads in England, but they're called chavs. It's the same shit. They just go like, yeah, bro, oi, bro. They just
Lads
say
is
that.
just sort of the boys in England, I think. If you're just
No, I know,
we're
but-
heading out with the lads.
I know, but like chavs.
But chavs are usually northern English people.
Yeah.
Do chavs exist anymore?
There's
Yeah.
also
Still around.
Ned's non-educated delinquent, which is a slang term in the UK. And chav is quite an insult, I've heard.
Yeah, dude.
Chav and wog are
Particularly two
really
chavs.
offensive
yeah,
in the UK.
wog is like you can't. I
cannot
said
say
wog in.
wog,
I
yeah.
said wog in England. It was like she's like I don't. This girl like freaked out. She's like I don't like that term. And I was like,
Wog means black person there, though, right?
oh, I don't know.
I think
Yeah,
it
'cause it's
means
like
immigrant.
gollywogs and shit.
Yeah, that's not a.
But then again,
Even
dude, as
here,
I
it's not
learned in my
really-
lawsuit,
you can say it
Oh,
in a
yes.
certain context.
In your lawsuit,
Not
you found
everyone
it's
can
very
say wog.
offensive.
yeah,
Yeah,
To
Jordan's-
anyone in the ABC crowd, they put the W word up there with the N word.
Wow.
Right up there. Boomers find the word wog utterly offensive. So which is so weird because like
It's in there-
it's nothing to us. Nothing.
30 years ago, they were the ones calling people wogs out of their cars,
Yeah.
and now they're offended by
Dude,
it.
you know what you should have done, Jordan? You should in your court case, you should have been like, you should have walked up to the judge and just put Wog Boys the DVD in front of him, like the defense rests.
Yeah, I so should have. Hey.
Seriously.
Yeah. Do you want an exhibit B, Star Wogs? You want an exhibit C, Wogs out of work?
Wog Boy 2.
Wog Boy 2. There's two of them.
There's two of
There's two of them.
Yeah. What's it called? It's
I can go
Nick
through
and
the whole
There's another one.
alphabet of
There's a third.
exhibits.
Wog
called-
Boys Forever. There was another one that just came out.
There's three. The second one was Kings of Mykonos.
Surely Kings of Mykonos.
That's kind of mad.
That's good.
Kind of mad though.
It is kind of mad. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you think the well, not just the ABC but the sort of artistic institutions of Australia, they're actually very elitist because wog comedy is notably working class and they hate it. They look down upon it, and it actually almost becomes a kind of racist thing. In America, they've integrated black comedy into what could be called the mainstream American comedy scene. Whereas in Australia, wog comedy is seen as something,
is
perform at RSLs, you're not allowed at the festival with your dirty ethnic comedy.
There's still black comedy, dude. Like, there's a huge bunch of American black entertainment that doesn't even come to us.
That's true, but there's still aspects of black comedy that have been.
They call that white famous comedy.
Yeah, that people do say that about Chappelle and Chris Rock. They're like, oh, you gentrified your comedy for the white man, which is crazy. As I look at their comedy, I'm like, it doesn't get any blacker than this. But man,
but they started off like at performing exclusively for black people, and at some point, if you look at their audience, it's like
it changed.
Mostly, it changed.
Kind of like
I'm not
Kanye.
saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's like it is what it is. But they are considered to be white.
I'm going
famous.
on the record. I think it's a bad thing.
I think so too, dude. Black audience is way better. Like,
Yeah.
have you seen them?
He folded so quickly.
Because it's just
Get up.
undeniable. It's just there's nothing better than 100% black audience at a comedy
Oh,
show.
it's-
Is it
yeah.
early
They
That's
give
Chris
you
Rock
so much
specials?
love if you're funny.
Early Chris Rock specials look like a concert.
Yeah.
People-
Oh, Chris Tucker.
Standing up. Yeah,
They stand up.
they're
They're
hollering.
giving you high five while
It's
you're on stage.
mad. He has rappers on before the show. Early Chris Rock was the closest thing to an actual hip hop star comedian you'll ever get, man. He gets on stage like, motherfuck this, motherfuck that, yo, that motherfuck, everybody's on crack, motherfucker. It's so good. And then if you look at really early Chris Rock, because he was the son of a preacher, I think he was a nerd, a religious nerd, who then was told act more like that. Because you look at really early Chris Rock in his early 20s, there's some very early footage of him. He's got a slick back hair, very sort of
Presentable.
meek and docile on stage. And then you look at Chris Rock early 30s and he's got a leather jacket, he's yelling, he's saying
Dude,
motherfucker,
and
Samuel
fuck
L.
this,
Jackson
motherfuck
hat.
this.
Better.
It's so much better.
All of them. And I think part of it, I'm not saying
on it
this
for
is
some
all,
reason.
but part of it is when they're doing comedy for black audiences, they're unashamedly doing whatever they want. And when they get white famous, they start feeling bad that I'm doing like the stereotypical, because a lot of their jokes are about like how black people this, black people that. And when they start doing it in front of white audiences, they feel bad. They're like,
You got to add all this introspective political stuff.
And
just
so
to
then
show
they have
that.
to go like, well, that's not all the reason why this is. Like, there's a lot of historical injustice.
Yeah, they gotta-
I don't need to hear that from you. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm here for your jokes. You suck at the rest. There's other people that are way smarter
Oh,
than you
yeah,
that can
dude.
do it.
Yeah.
And they get shit. Like, now Dave Chappelle, yeah, he's the GOAT, but like, dude, he does sermons now. He doesn't do comedy.
Yeah, it's kind of a comedian trying to do philosophy, and then but by integrating the two, everyone says, "Well, what a genius." Well, not really. They're
No, he's
just
not.
doing
He's
like
not a genius.
4 out of 10 philosophy and 4 out of 10 comedy, and everyone
it's
says,
like-
"Wow."
It's a Western Sydney
It's like
uni
music-
lecture
it's-
at best from a tutor. That's what that is.
Damn, so true.
And like because
Dude, it's a Western
I still
Sydney
think
TAFE course at this
yeah,
point.
it's not even like fucking University of Chicago or something. It's like a
Yeah.
really basic university.
Yeah, it's like really bad Cornell West. You know, it's for some reason if you integrate two art forms, everyone thinks, "Whoa, what a genius!" Even if you're average at both of those art forms, like musical comedy, you can be a 6 out of 10 musician and a 6 out of 10 comedian. Suddenly, because you're saying jokes with a guitar and you're singing a little bit, everyone says, "Whoa, oh, he's so good. He's such a good artist."
But the dilemma
really.
is the dilemma for me is as much as I don't like the new stuff, I still think that Chappelle at his prime was probably the greatest that ever was. And so I can't look at him and go, he's a shit comedian, because he's not. He's probably the best comedian. He's just been shit in the last 5 to 10 years.
I have a very, I suppose, heterodox opinion in the comedy
Go on.
community.
That was a fancy
I
word.
think Dave Chappelle, I think he's great, vastly overrated.
Even at his prime, like
yeah, and I
for
get
what
it.
it's
I
worth.
say that as a whatever D-list Australian comedian,
Nah, dude.
but dude, I
Huh?
think
Oh.
I think he in his prime, which would have been the Killing Me Softly and those specials in the 2000s. It feels like gentrified black comedy, man. It feels like it's good,
Dude, that's a
but
hot take.
it's like I don't hear a Chappelle joke and say, "Whoa, that changed my perspective," or "That was so clever the way he formulated those ideas and things like that." And a lot of it was his character. He was this skinny kind of dopey looking black dude. Then he became this buff, sage, and he lost the character element. I've always thought Chris Rock is the man. Chris Rock, Bill Burr, Louis C.K. I agree with the comedy community on those guys. I just always thought, he's top 10, but I never thought but it's funny because even Chris Rock is like, oh, my favorite. I think Dave Chappelle is the best ever, and I'm like, nah, I disagree. I think it's you, but you know.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of what Jordan. You agree with that, right? Because you never really paid Dave Chappelle.
Nah, I never paid him. I have exact same opinion as Neil. I think that he is a incredible performer. He's very good at delivering jokes, but I think that all of his jokes are very basic, and all of his points are very basic.
Man,
But
have you laughed more at anyone else? More.
yeah, I've gone through this 1,000 times.
Not
Like
that,
Rodney
like-
Rude and Chris Tucker. I've laughed at them more, and also Chris Rock, to be fair. But yes, like Dave Chappelle has brought me to tears. But when I analyze why that's happening, it is because he's good at the dramatic arts. That's why.
The whole bit of him being at a project and then like a little baby, he's like, "Baby, what are you doing?" I'm selling weed. He's like, "Selling weed? I got kids to feed." Like that has to be
That's funny.
the funniest thing ever. It's like, what a weird concept. He explained
It's
life
not
of a
that
poor black
weird.
man.
It's not that weird. It's
A
good.
baby,
It's a good
baby
delivery.
selling weed because he has to feed his kids. Come on.
It's definitely funny and it's a really good
Yeah,
joke,
it's a
but
really-
it's
yeah.
not goat worthy. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
I'm not. I don't think. I'm saying no one's saying he's bad or anything, but I don't think he's the goat.
All right.
That's all.
And also, this also does irk me about him. The arrogance of that man.
Yeah,
it
that
does
kinda-
really shit. Give me
You're
the shit.
again.
Come on.
I agree with that, but you're stop conflating the current Dave Chappelle. You just have to look. You have to analyze a comedian for their best joke ever.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
What if you've had the best joke ever and then you got a bunch of
Yeah,
the
that's all
average?
right.
What's the average? That's like
What's
a
your
cricket.
batting
That's like
average?
saying, oh, this cricketer scored 200 and then scored a bunch of ducks. Then they're a bad
Yeah, I
cricketer.
might not hire that cricketer, but I'd still give him a lot of respect.
Yeah, you get. Yeah, I'm not saying don't give Dave Chappelle respect, but
No, I comedian. I usually give them the respect based on their best ever joke. If they have a really good joke and they've been shit ever since, that's okay. I'm still gonna respect.
Because you've made a
still
classic.
gotta-
You're a bit
You
of
made
a
a
one-hit
classic.
wonder.
but then
Some
that's
people
the
I
one-hit wonder,
genuinely
isn't it?
feel for like something great that they've done, they deserve like lifetime of money
Accolade.
and happiness just for that one thing.
Okay,
You've done it.
so we're looking at it more as like musicians that made the song Starlight or something, and you're more looking at it as Ian Thorpe in the 2000 Olympics.
I guess so. Yeah. Like if you have created something genius, I will always respect you, no matter what you do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but how can you say that's a goat when they've just not been able to be consistent?
I have personally, so this is from my opinion, right? I know you guys are comedians and you know way more about this. I have
That's
never
right, we
laughed
are.
at anything more in my entire life than watching Killing Me Softly for What It's Worth. Now, that's not to say that Never Scared wasn't fun. It was hilarious. It was my first experience into comedy. Greatest thing ever. But like, I just feel like I've lost the most at that.
They were both very funny. They're very, very good.
Wait, do you respect then Russell Peters?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he would be known as the one-hit wonder of
I
comedians.
think he
right?
doesn't give himself respect, which he should. He always calls himself a road comic that got lucky. No, dude, you have a skill. You just appeal to the non-white audiences, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, dude, I hate how he doesn't see himself as good, and also just how people see him as like the hack ethnic comedian. He's so funny, man.
I don't
He's
know
funny.
him. Who's he?
So
The
funny.
beer man. You don't know that.
Oh,
I
right
don't
then.
know. Is he Australian?
Canadian. He's
Canadian.
Canadian Indian, and he got famous. He was one of the first
I'm
ever,
so out of the
maybe
loop.
the first ever viral comedian. Actually, funnily enough, Joe Avati was the first ever viral comedian. He had an audio clip that went viral in the late 90s.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then Russell Peters asked Joe Avati to manage him. That's how long Joe Avati's been famous. And Russell then got big in the sort of early 2000s. It was one of the first ever clips. It might have been YouTube or one of those other video sharing sites. And it was that of an Indian and an Asian trying to do business with each other. And it went mental. Every Indian in the world.
They loved it. Dude, my family watched it like it was
Yeah.
a Hollywood movie.
Same.
It was
got
insane.
The
That
DVD.
sounds
We
funny.
watched
And
it as
for
a
most
family.
ethnics,
Oh,
it
shit.
was their first experience into the art form of stand-up comedy.
Yes.
Wow.
So he brought stand-up comedy to. There is a huge scene now in the Middle East and India, and it is all because of Russell
Yeah,
Peters.
for sure.
Because he just brought comedy to this entire new world. He is well, I was going to say Christopher Columbus. I don't know. He is whoever the person the first Native American who went there. He's that guy of comedy.
And he deserves accolades for the rest of his life. And he does, dude. He goes to anywhere other than the U.S. He sells out stadiums.
Oh, and even in the US, he'll sell really well
I
still.
guess so,
he just hasn't evolved, man. It's just the exact same thing for 20 years. And he just like, oh, what
But
race
is
are
there-
you?
is there anywhere
Like,
to
so
go?
I'm gonna-
If you're doing that, where do you
Yeah,
go?
you lose the hunger, I guess. And
There's not
he's
much
a
to
multi-millionaire.
Yes.
Damn.
But it's also a thing of if your shtick is making fun of ethnicities, which I think is a great shtick, and it's always going to like bring a huge
good.
audience in.
It works.
It works. It's just it's
Yes,
a
it does.
And it's
tried
like
and
none of them are
true.
offended. All of them want, like, if you go to Russell Peters' show,
course.
you want him to make fun of your ethnicity.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's
and they
true,
get
yeah.
upset if you don't. It's like, you never said anything about the Armenians.
I know,
And
that's
the
the
audience-
irony
Audience
of it.
capture, hey. The
That's-
original audience capture.
That's the irony of all that sort of like, it's like, you can't do this. Like, people want to laugh at themselves. That's the whole
Yeah,
point.
maybe
And
I'm
the-
being too much of a purist. Like, oh, you got to evolve, man. Like, I guess if you've built a brand,
know what it is?
doing a certain
It's
thing,
kinda like
just-
But no, ethnics
just
don't
keep
even
doing
care
it.
about evolution. Don't you think like all like Desi dads are
Ethnics
constantly
don't give
making
a
the same
fuck about
joke?
any depth. They're like, oh, if there's anything, any sort of depth to an art form, they're like, oh, this is gay.
And they like to hear they want the greatest hits all the
Yeah.
time. They'll watch the same movies over and over again. Like Desi boomer parents,
Yeah.
they'll watch the same fucking film over and over again.
Right.
They want the greatest hits. They don't
Yeah.
necessarily want you to evolve.
It's like the AC/DC of comedy. Some people, you know, AC/DC are not an original band anymore. They've just done the same thing for like 30 years, but people love it.
yeah, but they're like famous for that now. Isn't there like a whole Bill Burr joke about them just talking about God and balls the whole?
Yeah, that's true. It's true. They are famous for that. It's like it's almost like if you're, let's quote unquote unoriginal, it's like you're in this circle and it's kind of like, oh, unoriginal ad infinitum, and then you get to a point where it's just like, no, it's cool that they're doing that. Yeah, I love that they're doing that. That's all they're doing. It's
You know
weird.
Kind of like Aussie rap and lads.
Probably, yeah.
Where, you know, for a long time,
That's true,
this is
yeah.
lame, this is cringy, this is lame, this is cringy. Oh,
No.
we like it now.
Yes.
You've stayed true to that. You've been so unapologetic. You haven't budged.
Yeah, it's true.
And got to respect that, man. Got to respect that.
Yeah, it's true.
What was the first stand-up, Neil, that you ever saw?
I think
as
it
a
was
kid?
Chris Rock. I think it was either Chris Rock or Russell Peters.
Yeah.
It was one of those two. I remember having the DVD Never Scared. Oh, I loved that. I would
That
watch
was my first
multiple times. I could probably
introduction as
quote it. It's so good. And then Outsourced Russell Peters. I think it was called Outsourced. Whichever that one where he did that.
That's so
famous joke
crazy.
was.
I had exactly those.
Every ethnic
first.
household had those two.
Yeah, but like, bro, Never Scared wasn't like Russell Peters, yes, but Never Scared. I don't know how I saw that. I remember like doing the jokes in front of my dad and my dad being freaked out. He was like, "Why are
Chris
you
Rock
talking
was
like this?"
huge at the time. Chris Rock was like a superstar.
'Cause
It was the closest you'd get to Eddie Murphy in late '90s or early 2000s.
God, the
Chris
whole
Rock
time-
was the man.
The whole time
remember
you were
the
saying
t-
Chris Rock, I've been thinking of someone else. The whole
Who?
time.
You were thinking of Chris
Kevin
Pine.
Hart.
Chris Smith on 2GB.
Kevin Hart. The whole time I thought you meant Kevin Hart. And I'm
No,
like, and the
dude.
whole time I was thinking, I was like, it's not that good. I'm like, oh, Chris Rock. Yeah, no, he is funny. He
Yeah,
is
actually,
really
I have.
Jeez.
I
Kevin
have
Hart is just midget Dave Chappelle. Don't you reckon? Like, as soon as Dave Chappelle fucked off, they were just
No,
like,
dude,
quick, we
Kevin
need
Hart
another
doesn't
black
come
comic.
close.
You. And it was just like, huh?
Kevin Hart's not that funny.
Kevin Hart is
Kevin
not
Hart
that
is
funny.
just
No,
serious.
I'm saying he was this band
Good at
aid
what
that
he
Hollywood
does.
chucked out because they were just like, Dave Chappelle's gone, we need someone else. When he went insane and went to South
But he's
America.
also like
That's the only
palatable.
reason
He's
funny.
palatable for everyone.
Yeah,
He's
never
not palatable to me.
Yeah, because you want actual comedy. He's palatable
Safe.
for
It's
like
very safe comedy.
21-year-old.
Come on, like,
silly,
come on.
it's silly
There's
slapstick type of
very
stuff.
few people that I hate more on planet Earth than Kevin Hart.
He also
Is that
doesn't
wrong?
alienate
I
women,
think it's wrong.
which most comedians at some point
Yeah,
do.
most comedians. Yeah, to be a revered comedian, you got to be a bit sexist.
Yes, so
Both ways. There's no revered female comedian that doesn't have at least a 10-minute diatribe on one why men are trash. You just
And-
need to do it for some reason.
Right.
Kevin Hart strikes that balance. He's not offensive. He's just
Yeah.
his comedy is whatever, but like he
very
doesn't offend
energetic and
anyone.
silly
Women
and
don't go
intense.
out saying like that guy's a misogynist. Dude, women come out of Jim Jeffries shows angry.
Really?
I was getting a
Jeffries.
haircut. And like the lady asked me something about comedy, and I was like, "Oh yeah," and I said Jim Jeffries, and
Yeah.
she looked at me. She's like, why would you even watch him? And I was like,
Whoa, really?
because like they watch it, and when he's like, because he does talk about his girlfriend pretty, she's like that bitch or whatever.
Right.
Women get alienated by it.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Yeah, well, I would imagine that from Jim Jeffries is most famous for putting a dildo up his ass and it getting stuck there. He's not exactly
Is
like
he?
appealing
Wait, what?
to
When
women.
did
Is
that
he
happen?
really?
That was his most famous bit, wasn't it?
Oh, I didn't know.
His gun bit was the thing that made him massive. The way that he came onto my radar is he has this story about he went to some sexpo and he got a free vibrating egg that you're supposed to put up your ass and it got stuck there. And
His early stuff was very alcoholicast, that sort of stuff.
yeah, a
He was the
new
dirty
level
comic.
of self-deprecating.
Oh, really?
He was the original dirty comic. You know, him and two of the other Aussie comedians, Brendan Burns and Steve Hughes, moved to Manchester, or maybe not Manchester, just England somewhere in the, I think it would have been the early 2000s. They're in their early 20s. And that was a time when there was a lot of good club comedy in England and you could make a lot of money doing club comedy. And so there was also so many gigs in England because you can just be based in London and take a train anywhere to a big city. And they would just gig for most of the week, make a ton of money, and on the weekend just do mountains of cocaine.
Yeah,
Sick.
Dude, that sounds mad. And then Jim, at I think 29:30, HBO were like, yeah, we want to give you a special, and the rest is history. I think there were also
Why didn't they go
there
with
was
Steve
someone
Hughes
tried
and
to
Brendan
punch
Burns?
him. Someone tried to punch him on a stage in Manchester, and that was captured on video, and that went viral. So there's a couple of little things that helped Jim Jeffries get there.
Damn, so as an Aussie comic, you kind of have to pay your dues in England as well.
You don't have to, but
The old method was
that was the way he did it. But he was never big in Australia. He left Australia very
that's
young.
True. That's true.
There's no way his style would ever get big in Australia because Australia is so corporate and safe and lame that they would not let Jim Jeffries.
Dude, why are we so lame?
Because it's all. Do you know why? Because the incentive structures in Australia are not to be the best comedian. They're to be someone who is good at comedy who can also be a TV presenter, because that, for a manager, is the most bankable. Because if you're a manager, you see Jim Jeffries or let's say Will Anderson, right? You see Jim Jeffries, he's great live, he crushes, he's doing really good pure stand-up comedy. Oh, but he says cunt, he swears, he talks about drugs and sex, he's not palatable to women. Will Anderson, sort of very run-of-the-mill, safe kind of comedy, good-looking, would be a good presenter. I'm going to sign him. Why? Because then I can sell him to ABC. I can sell him to Commonwealth St. George Bank, who pay 50 freaking grand to have a comedian do 20 minutes at their Christmas party. And I can make much more money as a manager that way. And en masse, when you extrapolate that out, the incentive structures of Australian comedy, they create very bland, safe corporate comedians. And they're not good for harnessing and sort of propagating clever, edgy comedy. There's now an online audience that like just offensive but without any substance. But that sort of Jim Jeffries, Bill Burr type of style, I'm not saying it would be impossible to come up in Australia with that, but the incentive structures would be working against that.
Yeah, man.
Why
There's no
haven't you ever put it that
appreciation for
eloquently?
Because I'm learning. That's why.
Dude,
I'm
that
learning.
shit is, you just like red pill, man.
So good. It's right. Do you sometimes like? Do you want to make that trip to England a one-way trip?
Man, I got that visa a few years ago, and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna commit to the 2 years here and gig here, and I do well. I do even better at the England clubs. They like smart comedy. They're very comedy literate, and
They just like the arts more.
comedy audience in London. But yeah, I think maybe I got success too early because I was there for a couple of months, and then one, I was getting a bit lonely, and two, I just knew if I came back here, I had a big audience and I would be able to make more money. And maybe I bitched it, but yeah, I used up that visa. You can still go. I'm still considering maybe going there, but also the club scene now across the world. It's comedy as an art form is in such a weird space because post TikTok, there was just a flood of basically the barriers to entry to become a famous comedian were completely taken away. And of course, the gatekeepers were very flawed in the way they handpicked certain comedians that fit their ideology. But what happened then was that now anyone and everyone could go viral, and then there was just no quality control whatsoever. And I think average people are kind of a bit sick of stand-up comedy, and they've just seen too much on TikTok and too much on Reels where they think, oh, another stand-up, what's their take? Yeah, all right, more crowd work here. What are they? They're asking, there's a couple here and he's crowd working with them. And I'm not denigrating crowd work comedians, but it's just was something easy to post because there was no limit to how much you could post. You could just keep posting
a lot of
crowd
the
work.
comedy is just shit.
Yeah,
there's that
exactly.
aspect
It's
to
because
it.
there's no barriers to entry. Now, the gatekeepers were wrong and the sort of institutions were also very flawed, but also to go to swing the entire other way and say, oh, there's just no barriers to entry. If you just have an iPhone at a gig, you can film a bunch of these and go viral. That's not good either. And I think the art form itself needs to probably go. Alex was saying this, and I think he's correct, that the art form is probably like the currency is too overvalued and it needs to crash. It needs to just be very hard to be a comedian. A few clubs need to close down. The whole art form needs to just sort of go down and be culled.
Like it used to be back in the day.
Yeah, and then it needs to go underground again. And then it needs to become cool again. Because right now it's not cool. It's a lame art form and people are kind of sick of it. There's still, if you've got a good audience and you're good at what you do, people will still come and see you. But I really think that people are just sick of stand-up comedy. And also that it's been sullied by content creation, right? Because you have a bunch of people now online that are just creating comedy content. It's not really stand-up comedy, but they're called comedians. And so it denigrates the art form as well because suddenly all these people who are doing, inspired unemployed, who are just whatever, grinding in unison in high vis, they're called comedians, and you're like, look,
You're
that's
saying
fine.
that's not gold?
What they do is great.
Neil,
but
let's
it's
not
like,
let's not say things
don't-
we can't take back. That's the height of comedy. All right, thank
Yeah,
you very
look,
much.
don't-
I'm going to
They
go
are-
as
they
far
are-
as to say that they're the goat.
They are ahead of Dave Chappelle any day, bro. It's inspired unemployed Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, but and not only that, marketing teams now are trying to get these kind of influencers to make content for Woolworths, and they usually do comedy content, and then that
What?
just-
Really?
yeah, man, it's just
Holy
like
shit.
it just denigrates the whole art form because there's all this bullshit out there,
you know,
and
just-
it needs to just crash. That's what I think.
Just to interject with what you're saying, he's right about that. I saw I've seen this with a few companies, but Hungry Jack's has hired some TikTok, in quotation marks, comedian to advertise their like burgers or whatever. And it's just like so painfully obvious what they're trying to do. They're like, oh, this guy's funny. This is TikTok is all people watch now. We'll make TikTok format videos for Burger King. And it's honestly like very, very, it's like he's trying to do like Friendly Jordy's light. He's just like putting on wigs and being like, this burger's delicious. And it's just like, it's so bad. And it's like, why? It's like, it's diluted now where it's like, dude, this guy's not funny. You can't, it's, you know what I mean? Like,
and then that ruins what we do because when we put the wigs on, there's at least something.
Yeah.
There's something. We're trying to say something. We've thought of a good.
And you
it
don't
works,
need
it
corporations to
works.
ruin the art form. Like,
Of
there's plenty of
course,
comedians.
corporations ruin
You
fucking everything.
You
man.
look at a clip where it's some form of crowd work, and there's like no joke.
yeah.
It was literally a weird small conversation,
Yeah.
and that was it. And they put it up.
lame, and then that affects what people think of stand-up comedy. So you add that into the fact that the established institutions are just churning out absolute garbage. So you put on comedy on TV in Australia, it's mostly trash. You see comedy online, it's mostly trash. Not only that, it's a bloody depression, basically. No one wants to laugh at like dumb, silly jokes. There's probably, if someone really wanted to come out as a really hard-hitting good comedian, there might be an avenue for them. But right now, I just think the brand of not only, particularly Australian comedy, but comedy in general is just very low. And
Okay, what do you think about this opinion?
Yeah.
Comedy is one of the hardest things on the planet to do. At any given point, there's probably like 10 people on the planet that are truly funny as a stand-up comedian. It's like being an actuarial science guy. Like, if you're going to have such an oversupply of people, obviously you're going to get shit content. Like, even if it goes underground or whatever, I don't think I ever imagine a world where there's more than 20 people that are actually really funny.
yeah, to really get to that level, there's very few. And in Australia, there's like even fewer.
Well,
But
also on top of this, what art form is cool? Lad rap. Is that what we got here? Like, surely all of them are denigrated now. 'Cause of
No,
social media.
there's microcosms. There's literally everything. You'll find an audience for everything. Like,
I know you'll find an audience for everything, but what
Okay.
is cool
here's
now?
my hot take. don't you think what's sort of becoming cool and has been for the last couple of years is half political, half cultural commentary? So someone like it's obviously very divisive and controversial, but an Andrew Tate or a Joe Rogan or these sorts of semi-influencer, semi-cultural critic, sort of mogul type of people seem to be the ones who are getting a lot of traction now.
Because they're willing to say what none of us are willing to say. It's like a race against getting canceled. Like there's literally, this is one obvious way how you can get really big. You start saying some really egregious shit that you think in your head, you keep saying it, and you wait for yourself to get canceled.
If there's no substance to that won't last. But yeah, you can manufacture a publicity stunt now, which is, I think, what Eminem tried to do with his new album, and it was so lame. Where he said, "Oh, Gen Z me, brah," and fuck blind people and deaf people.
Yeah.
Suck. Now, I don't know if he was trying to do some sort of avant-garde fourth
Still
wall type
works.
of thing, but then the publicity was like, "Oh, Gen Z is trying to cancel Eminem," and no one cared, man. No one was trying to cancel him. But it's just, you can now publicize things and market things by saying everyone's trying to cancel me or whatever. And so the anti-woke, anti-comedy space has also become saturated and lame. Tell me what you think, Jordan. I think we're moving into an era where politics is going to become cool again. Because what are people starving for? An actual politician with charisma and maybe even sex appeal, or something exciting and vibrant, because for so long politics has been full of nerds, and it's been Hollywood for ugly people. And now you sort of have Trump, where he is a bit of a celebrity / superstar. You're starting to see other people pop up here and there, and they're populist almost always, usually more right-wing populist, but there's room for a left-wing populist, a cool celebrity like left-wing populist candidate to come up. The Australian system would be a lot harder for them, because it's not like America where you can just attach yourself to the Democrats or Republicans, just run independently. But I think politics is going. And you know what? I was watching the Hitler documentary, and he was an artist. He was a creative person. And in that sort of Weimar Republic time, which is eerily similar to our time, with the sort of fluctuations in the economy and currency, and just like a sort of time where everyone feels resentful and feels like the country's on a bad path, then what happened? This extraordinarily charismatic, unapologetic person who knew how to, that's what everyone said about Hitler. He knew how to command the attention of a crowd. And he had this thing where he said, "Oh, I treat it like sex, where I start off with the foreplay and I see what they're into, and then I go really hard, and by the end he's doing all this shit." And I think we're in an era where politics is kind of gonna become really cool again, and the superstars are gonna be people who are in politics. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you why that's the case. It's because, as we've discussed on this podcast before, it's the death of art and the rise of content. And dude, if you're a politician, it's all content. It's all content.
Jordan Bardella, that guy in France, he's this like good-looking young guy that was almost became the Prime Minister of France, and probably will in the next election.
Yeah. And it's because, like, honestly, like, it's pretty much exactly the same thing that you're talking about with crowd work and the phone. That's exactly it. It's just like everything that they are saying is getting recorded. It's constantly being put out. It's constantly relevant, because this is the thing. Everybody thinks that politics is boring, but when you think about it, you're just talking about society endlessly. You are a cultural critic. You're talking about important issues a lot of the time. You actually do have the space a lot of the time to sit there and be like, "You see what Kanye said? Insane." So, like, you are basically just a YouTube commentator anyway, but you also have the gravity of The Office behind you.
Damn.
So you have, as a politician, you kind of get your finger in all the pies that everyone that we're talking about has.
Yeah.
The only one that you don't have, I suppose, is like, no, but even then, sometimes they do create skits and shit. So yeah, you've got that.
Yeah.
They have to be creative to be able to think about how
Stunts.
Yeah, creative within
stunts.
the realm of politics, and how they're going to sort of be a Machiavellian and maneuver their way to the top, and those sorts of things take creativity. And I think we're in this era where now it's kind of cool. Like creative people previously would have just scoffed at the idea of being a politician. It would have been someone who's more policy oriented and conscientious, but not particularly exciting or vibrant or charismatic. And therefore, if you just had, even particularly in Australia, if you even had just like the slightest ounce of charisma, you could become the Prime Minister. It seemed that way. Whereas I think now creative people, art is becoming being an artist is kind of becoming lame in a weird way. And creative people creative, disagreeable, cool people are going to be attracted to politics. I mean, even Gen Z, the ones who are still teenagers and at school, they're deeply political. They'll say,
yeah.
I'm on this quadrant of the political, that paradigm, whatever, the squares or whatever, or I'm this is my ideology. When I was in high school, I don't think anyone even knew what left or right was. I don't think anyone cared about politics.
That's why I feel like we're actually moving away. You're right. When we were kids, no one even knew what left or right was. Most of society was really depoliticized. The idea was it's kind of like boring, the news, you know? But now, dude, every kid, they're switched on. They're talking about like Trump, whoever it might be. They're all engaged. And I think like we're probably moving towards a depoliticization again. Our society is highly politicized. Everyone has an opinion. And when it comes to politicians, bro, like which politicians are more successful? The ones that are also entertainers.
Yes.
You know what it is, actually?
Yes.
Is I'll say this. They're probably not even entertainers. You know what they are? They're just influencers that have influenced their way into office.
They've influenced.
Yeah.
They're not
Which is
really
why, like,
politicians.
And it's not
Deeply
just
charismatic
Trump.
people, yeah.
It's like there's so many comedians that have become heads of state already.
Yeah, Zelensky was a
Zelensky
comedian.
was what this entertainers.
Entertainers, you know that there's a bunch of people in Hollywood that are eyeing off for a presidential run. Matthew McConaughey, I think, is obviously
Yeah,
thinking
the
about
idea
The Rock
that
is
Matthew
thinking about it.
McConaughey wants to run for office is so bizarre because back in the day, Matthew McConaughey would be like, "Why would I run for office? I have a great life."
Yeah.
But now there's a prestige associated to it because there's a lot.
Yeah, there's an allure.
There
that
was a
wasn't there
time
before,
when
yeah.
most women did not care about politics, and I think now women are most engaged with politics
Well,
more
yeah,
so
when they
than men.
start making abortion an issue, then that's how you get women involved.
Yeah.
Maybe that was just a ploy to get women involved.
Or just like I don't know, criticize Taylor Swift and then see what happens.
Someone was in the betting markets for the next US president. Taylor Swift is in the market, paying
Fucking-
$500. So
What?
there's clearly
But she's
been
responsible
some
for
sort of
inflation.
information.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
There's some
It's
sort of
insane.
information that's saying, "Oh, Taylor Swift might be eyeing a run in the future," and someone like Candace Owens, I could imagine, would definitely run sometime in the near future. Kanye talked about running. It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, why
now
are
being
all of these
integrated.
guys
These
wanting
worlds
to
are
be
becoming
right?
integrated when, for a long time, they went and historic. Look, I'm sure Jordan would know more.
It's
about this, but
cyclical. I was actually
historically, politicians were the rock stars.
But
True.
I think it just depends on what time period you were. In the 70s, everyone was politically charged. There was like the Vietnam War. It's kind of like the time we're living in today.
Yeah, but this whole sort of neoliberal age from sort of that mid-80s. Yeah, Reagan and Thatcher were quite...
But by the time
were
it was Reagan,
celebrities.
it was
And then after that-
depoliticized. No one cared.
After that, basically till Trump, everything was quite depoliticized.
Obama brought it back. It's not Trump. It was the
brought back a
Iraq
little bit.
War.
I think people liked him and said, he's cool, I'm going to vote for him. But I don't think there was this constant immersion into
It was
the
beginning then.
political
It was
space.
emerging then.
It was emerging,
The George
yes.
Bush's era and War on Terror, that politicized a lot of people in the world. And then Obama was like a culmination of like, okay, this is the candidate that we want. Someone that was like, black. He was also, very eloquent and spoke about social matters. And by the time Obama was in office, like everyone was getting deep. I think we're now moving towards a point where people are going to like tell you to shut up if you talk about politics.
Yes and no, because there's so many things happening. That's the only, I think the economic conditions determine whether we're depoliticized or not. If Australia goes into a recession and the interest rate keeps going up, people are gonna
They'll complain about politics. They won't necessarily. I have a different view on this. I don't think the economy will make politicized. The economy just might make people resentful of their leaders, but not enough to care about it.
You think so?
Unless there's like a massive war or depression, which makes everyone politicized. But that's because your survival counts on it. But if it's like a cyclical recession thing, people don't give a fuck.
Yeah, true. And I think some of these things maybe even out and eventually in the sense that like there's all these culture war issues. It seems like it's trending towards some sort of happy medium where there were pendulum swings towards the extremes both ways, and then it settles on some kind of happy medium. Because now you can actually... People who still say, "Oh, you can't say anything as a comedian," and woke culture, blah blah blah. It's way better now than it was 8 to 10 years ago. 8 to 10 years ago was so much worse. In the clubs in Australia, there's lefty comedians who are doing jokes about, oh, I'm a man and everyone's saying men have to do this and do that and there's only so much I can do to help solve rape. And people are laughing at that. In 8-10 years ago, I was watching this guy particularly. I was just thinking there's no way he would have gotten away with that. And, I think, at least in the comedy scene, it's depoliticizing a little bit, but, there's always swings, so who knows?
Dude, yeah, well, I was watching Trump, and I noticed something. I think, by the way, like, this is one of my, and I think Jordan agrees with it, I think Trump is, like, one of the greatest stand-ups to have ever lived.
He is.
Genuinely.
Actually, you know what? He is the GOAT.
He is the GOAT. He's
Dude,
probably
that
better
guy's
than Chappelle.
consistent.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
And the best jokes of all time. Come on, like, how much better is his bit about, they weren't a band strike? Come on, that was incredible.
This is what I wanted to do. This is what I noticed. So
funny, man.
Bring back the straws.
when Trump is doing his act, like, he'll be talking about, like, Sleepy Joe, right? And he was like, he was working in like this, and he was, what are you trying
Sleepy
to
Joe
When he's
Biden.
doing his act, he's like funny, but he's like kind of like as any standard club comic would be, right? He's sort of funny. He's not really extremely funny. But Trump is GOAT when he's not trying to be funny. So when he's so when some journalist is like, and what do you read? What about the boy? And you said this, and he just goes like, excuse me, you're a nasty woman. You're a nasty woman. That is the funniest thing he could have ever said. But he's not trying to be funny at that point. He is by default
He's shutting down hecklers.
shutting down Hickles. But he's angry. When he's trying to be funny, he's average funny.
No, that's no.
When he's
I don't
angry,
agree.
he is GOAT level funny.
Come on,
He's
he's
funny.
funny when he's trying to be funny, and he's also funny when
do
he's
you
not
notice-
trying
do you
to be.
notice-
He's
He's
just
funny,
funny.
full stop.
He's just
Do you notice
funny.
when he says, like, sometimes when he says, like, it's nasty, his lips like this. He's like,
Nasty.
he's like,
Nasty. You're such a nasty woman.
Nasty.
notice that?
He does do that a lot, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
he's like,
Sleepy Joe.
ugh, yeah.
He's gonna
That
win.
is his face permanently.
Yeah.
He's surely gonna win, right?
But he's like the
Grabbing
perfect
all
dude.
the
for it.
That's funny, dude.
There's gonna be another 4 years of Trump, right? He's gonna
Yeah.
win.
I think so. We were
At
just
this
saying
point,
that
it's
before.
pretty. Although the news cycle is so quick, anything could happen in the next couple of months. He's also not young himself. He's 78. The guy could, and he's very fat. The guy could.
So fat.
Give me that thick president.
Did you guys hear
He's a
Bill
thick
Maher's
boy.
joke about that? Did you watch Bill Maher? He said, you know how like the Republicans were like, God help save Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And so Bill Maher's like take was, God did not save your president. A virgin couldn't shoot the fattest president in history. That's why he saved.
Yeah, he said the fattest since Taft. Taft. Whatever.
And I was like shocked. And then he was like, no, I'm not saying that he should have. I'm just saying it is what it is.
Okay, let me tell you why you're stupid and why you're
Okay.
and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
so smart.
Yeah.
And
And also, Israel.
I don't need to believe in fairy tales
Okay.
to be
Okay.
a good person. Okay? If you need to believe in make-believe angels, you're probably stupid. Okay? And the audience, woo! Yeah. And then as soon as he says one thing, he's like, but sometimes the left go too far. And then the audience is always silent.
And he does that thing where he's just
And he
like,
just stares at the
shit crowd
audience.
tonight, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
like, woo! And it's
Yeah.
like, it took you
Oh,
long
come on.
enough.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You can't be serious. You can't tell me there are 79 genders. Okay? What?
Dude, what the hell happened to that guy? Because I feel like a lot of my life, that man was the height of cool. He was. It's almost like he became cool. He was like cool when Snoop Dogg was cool, and then not cool when Snoop Dogg wasn't cool at
Right.
the same time.
Right.
Age,
Something
bro.
happened.
Became old. A lot of these older guys are becoming. Everyone agrees with their takes, but the fun element, the silliness is gone, and it's more. It feels more preachy. That's. I think he and Dave have that in common. Where Bill Maher has lost the. He still has the observations that he did, but it's become a bit more preachy, and it feels a bit old man yells at cloud.
But what's that about? Like, why is all of a sudden the things that he is saying is old man yells at cloud? That's what I don't get. Because
don't think it is. Why do you say that?
You don't think it's old man yelling at
You're an
clouds? I
old
reckon
man
it's old
yelling
man.
at a cloud.
You're an old man, yeah.
It is a bit old, man. 'Cause
Remember, you were live from the Arctic talking on CNN.
So I'm at that point in my life now where I'm just like, he's speaking to me finally. He's saying the truth. Is that where I'm at?
Damn kid.
Is that where I'm at?
Yeah. Well, you were there when you were 15, though.
You reckon?
Permanent 80-year-old.
Even in high school?
Absolutely. Remember what everyone used to say? Like, this is how people used to describe Mislav. Mislav Belabrajic is an 80-year-old black man. And I think that's like a very accurate. Don't you reckon?
Black
That
woman.
sums him up. Black woman.
Or
Yeah, Big Mike.
Actually,
a male lesbian.
Big Mike. Old Mike. You're old Mike.
old
An
Mike.
80-year-old black man.
I do remember once.
brother.
Did Trump call it old
Charging.
Mike?
Big Mike.
Did you call him Big Mike?
Did Trump actually say Big Mike?
Big Mike.
Well, that was Alex Jones who coined it.
Okay, so this is why it's just like you can't be edgy when Trump's president, can you?
Yeah.
There's no way to be that. Like, okay, when Joe Biden stepped down, how like his first torrent of tweets were basically just like every world leader is just like, thank you for your contribution. It's just standard to do that, right? And then Trump's sitting there just being like, unacceptable. He said he was running and now he's not. We spent all this money making fun of Sleepy Joe. Now we got to change it to Kamala. Give me my money back. That was his response. He wants a
that's funny.
refund.
Dude, he really
wants a refund. That was his response.
It's what he
He
said.
feels
Dude.
personally victimized that Joe Biden stepped down.
The best thing,
That's a
the
good
best
take.
thing for Democrats would have been if Joe Biden had stepped down a few hours before the convention. It would have thrown everyone's.
They should have done that. They should.
I wish they had.
I was actually thinking that. I was like, if they were tactical, the Dems should have been like, we're going to get him to retire. We're all agreeing. Wait till as far as the day before
Well,
the thing.
they would need their
And then you get
time.
the
Do
sugar
you mean
hit.
the Republican convention or
Yeah,
the? Oh,
yeah.
so then they had to.
All
change
the
their
speeches would have been
Oh no, I
prepared.
meant
They'd be like
I meant the
minions.
Democrat one. I meant the Democrat one.
Yeah, honestly, the Democrat one might be a good move because then Kamala does get that sugar hit that'll
Yeah.
last. It's not going to last 5 months.
Nah.
Wait, you're saying that he should have stepped down just before the
Yeah.
convention?
Yes.
The Democratic
Yes.
convention?
Yeah, like Joe Biden should have come up to say the nominee and just go, shake, Jack. And then like that. And then
then
it just
put his-
switches around.
What,
then-
put
he-
Kamala?
and then he puts his glasses on, and that song comes on. I want nothing but a good time.
Yeah, just does the middle finger and walks off. Yeah, that's how he should have done it.
Fuck
That's
you,
absolutely
America.
They're not choosing the hottest 100. It's the presidential nominee. There's a lot of back work that needs to happen. You can't do it
Not with that
before.
attitude.
No, he could have done it. That's
mean,
what he
he
should have known.
could've.
If he just said, I'm retiring from president right now, she immediately becomes president.
Yeah, they could
Oh,
have
she
done
did
it.
Oh,
that.
yeah,
He
she-
did that.
he can
There's
make
no
her the
legal
president.
backlog after that.
Dude,
No,
that
he can
would
make her
have
the
been
president,
genius.
but he can't just randomly make her the nominee. The delegates have to agree to it.
Yeah, but it's a
They-
little secret between
That's
them.
understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so
Wow.
why? What do you?
It's
Okay,
a PR stunt the day before. It could happen. They could have done that.
all right, guys.
You don't like that
Hanging
idea?
out with a bunch of children over
I want
here.
Oh, man.
No, that's a lose. That you're loser over it. It's a loser attitude. All we have to do is make it secret. This guy doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Why didn't you
I'm
do it
honestly,
like?
I know I've said it before, but like Mislav's impression of Donald Trump is like you close your eyes and it's just like
It's
there
very
is a
good.
fat 70-year-old man on this couch right now. It's like
I appreciate that very much, Jordan.
It's incredible.
What a
Friendly
guy.
Jordan.
What a nice guy.
A little bit on the nose, but
He's
I don't
better
mind.
than Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis can do Trump talking at a
Shane
rally.
Gillis is good.
He can do the rally Trump, but Mislav does the podcast Trump. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on this pod. Very nice office. I think maybe a few pictures. Maybe I can get you some pictures of Trump, but otherwise not bad.
See, that's the difference. That's what he's got. Like those pauses where he's just being like, maybe good. He's got that down pat.
He's just the best voice. He's just got
Such a good voice.
He's so good that it would be fun being that
Who has
guy.
a naturally funnier voice than Donald Trump? Because I used to always think it was Dave
RFK
Hughes that had the funniest
Jr..
voice of all time.
Yeah, I don't know, an Urkel.
Oh my god, that man sounds like
Have you
cigarettes.
heard his
Yeah.
take? He's like,
What's
well,
his take?
I think the only positive thing that could happen is
No,
now-
dude, do his voice. His voice is like
Yeah, no. He sounds like he doesn't have the thing at his throat.
Well,
That's
I
what it's
do,
like.
so I can't do it.
It's like that.
Yours is great.
Good.
Like he's like really struggling.
Oh man.
Positive vision of America. Whoa, dude, that's a positive vision. Just walking cancer.
I want to bring.
Candidates are so old.
I think a zombie apocalypse is the only solution at this point.
No, that's Steve-O.
Oh, yeah,
He's
sorry.
done
He's
Steve-O,
done
Dad. That's an amazing accent. Secret Steve-O.
But his take is
Imagine
that
both
Biden has now stepped down, so I should be the Democratic nominee. What are you laughing?
I mean, he's a Kennedy.
yeah,
he's
he
got
was-
the name.
and he's saying I've always been a lifelong Democrat.
Why the fuck don't they get? Why don't
It
they
would
throw
give him
Kennedy?
a better
in?
chance than Kamala.
Why don't they put
They
Kennedy
did
in?
make
Yeah,
Kennedy.
it actually would.
Because there's a bunch of people. Most of Biden's voters were just people who hated Trump, and so whoever the Democratic nominee is, they're going to vote for them. And RFK brings a whole new.
Brings 10% with it.
Yeah, a little extra percentage here and there in all the swing states. He
You
could
could- yeah, but
actually win.
I
win.
don't know how comfortable I am with a U.S. president that speaks like that.
Fuck, who gives a shit?
Yeah, me too.
No, I can't handle it.
I would love it.
Introducing President Zelensky.
I'd get used to that shit.
No, it's too much.
I believe them.
Yeah, the way he shakes as well. Like,
It's just like
Really struggling.
You know, some people.
Imagine
dude, that poor man. That poor man.
the State of the Union
constant
address by him.
What was that?
What's the state of the vocal cords?
State of the
State
vocal.
of the vocal.
Dude, he could just get the thing of so like,
I will be your president.
Yeah, that would be better.
that would be
Smoother.
gangster, man.
It's way better.
Yeah.
Get a hole in your throat.
I finished the job off.
All right,
Russia now.
should we do some closings?
What's the closing?
Closing is
Closing
Dave
is
Hughes
I was
really
gonna
funny.
I was gonna ask Neil
About his
to
show.
Yeah, it's about his
Yeah,
shows.
please.
Yeah, I've got London September 8th. So any listeners in London, come to that one. Selling well. neelkolhatkar.com/tickets. So
Yeah,
that's
which will be in the description down below.
NEELKOLHATKAR.
Hell yeah. Dude.
And
Hell yeah.
London September 8th. And then all the major cities in Australia. So I'm doing all the capitals: Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne,
Freo?
Adelaide.
Doing a Freo show?
No, not doing Fremantle. So just Perth for WA. Then I'm doing Gold Coast, Newcastle, and Wollongong. So come along to all of
The
those.
shit capitals.
Sydney ones, the Sydney and Newcastle are almost certainly going to sell out. The others are all selling pretty well in there in October. So get around it.
There you go.
Sick.
See you guys.
I'm gonna come to your Sydney show, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
come along.
hell yeah.
Thanks for joining us,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
Thanks for
having
joining
me.
us for
Always
multiple
love it here.
streams today, Neil and the audience.
And did TikTok work? Ah, it's not up.
And we'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.